school in Tottenham called Wellborn. And when I got to slipped into the house play, he did some exam at the end of the year.
I'm black. I'm 126 pounds. Black criminal thought. Living a political death. Here. Real. Feet pressed hard onto this carpeted floor. Historically anchored. I'm heavy. Heavy. My brother would say this all the time as a slang for cool. That new tune, it's heavy. Your new coat, mate, that's heavy. Those new kicks, heavy. No, Mikey. Cursed by my cool, my skin is heavy. Ladybug Mecca says, I'm cool like that, I'm black like that, we out. I get it. Though I desire no far off land. How I trade my cool to be fly and feel weightlessness all of the time. Fly to diggable planets to chase spaces with stars. Not quite. I chase spaces on fields with delineated lines that happen to be white, but are not whiteness. And Hannah's right. My skin shines with white people's problems, but on flood-lit spaces, white light on my back, feet on the ground. My skin shines only with sweat. How I trade my cool to be fly and feel this weightlessness all of the time. A packaged other amongst packaged others from the factory of whiteness, with no escape from the perverse. Climbing, chasing a cool, weighted, fluorescent lights and white cube spaces. I attempt failures in the safe space of the night. Its darkness may mirror my skin, but not my mass. And how is it that Fannin knows more of me than I know of myself? And it's in those moments where I reach for the window to breathe, for a cool to air my perspired efforts, navigating spaces that don't fit and are unfit for my body, that I trade my cool to be fly, to feel weightlessness all of the time.
That's when I started to see him. I could have gone Northumberland Park, which is next door to St. Paul's in Tottenham, but that my mum, it was bad enough as it was, so it was like to put me in Northumberland Park would have just made me even worse than I already was. So I went to a school in Winchmore Hill, called Winchmore School, and by this time, because my dad was like a DJ, I was proper into music, like party style, like 8 at night, aunt and uncle would come around, then I'd go to bed at like 1, 2 in the morning, and I'd wake up at like 8 again in the morning, and we'd have like 3 radios that were still dancing, proper slow, they just playing like they're still dancing. You wake up in the morning and you're like, coming through the walls, everyone's still there. So music's always been in my mind, in my soul. Like, so by the time I got sick, I just growled into music. My dad bought me my first album. Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style. He bought it for me from Hayman in the shopping centre. my tape. Put it out of my tape. So I started getting into that. The drum and basses, the hardest grooves. It's like music was the only thing that interested me again because I felt that I had a talent. In school I was good at art, all the stuff into me obviously. It was good at English. But it's like, I never needed that change.
About the world in reverse, the present is future. History is future, and future is something very well read. History is an unknown, the unknown, but not want to be known, it lingers. Future is real. East is west, and north is south. The peoples of the North Pacific aspire to come back down south. Shall I write in reverse? In the end river, I can't. And if I can, then no one will understand. I'm writing. So if I stay silent, try to play a song backwards, or speak backwards, or dance, or sing backwards, the frontwards people tuned to the rhythm of going frontwards couldn't understand, backwards with its language. I write with black letters on white paper. That's the only way frontwards people write, isn't it? It isn't. Some words are clear. Clearer than others when written in reverse. I digress. In 42 years, in 2058, a missing nation will overthrow the north part of a small island. Future is past. Subsea erotic. Erotic, sea, sub. Past is future island small. A of part north. The overthrow nation eastern at 2058. In years 240. In digress. I put reverse in written when others, when clear. A word some. Isn't it isn't right, people. Frontwards. Way only the that's paper white. On. Letters black with right eye language backwards. Understand not with frontwards going of rhythm, which attune people's words, front, the backwards sing, or dance or backwards speak, or backwards song a play to decide, or silent stare. I, if it was writing, am I? Understand will, one know then come. I, if and can't I, Ezravani, reverse. In right I should south. Down bled, and spat are Pacific north. Dear people the south, and north and west is east. Real is future. Lingers. It known be to what, not the unknown. The unknown and is history read well. There is something future, and future is history, future is present, reverse in world, a about. Reversities about impossibilities, about unlikelities, about possibilities of speak. Will I, is revert beneath thee.
sometimes something just don't suit people, like the way that things are set out. People's systems don't run like that. But, you know, I didn't do that well in school. I left school, I got 1 GCSE in English, that was it. I remember being in school, like when I was younger, and I always used to want like, if my mum asked me what I wanted to be, I would say I'd want to be a doctor. I felt like I got to a certain stage in school where it was like, you ain't gonna be a doctor, bro. You ain't gonna be one, because the teachers were more interested in telling me off and putting me outside, but not really, like punishing someone for something. Punishing someone for something it doesn't help the situation. Like, I think like more communication was needed. Like, they were quick to throw me out rather than tell me, like, you know, this is the lesson. Like, what do you want to be when you get older? I want to be a doctor. Or, you know, this is the lesson, science. That's going to help you a lot. So I don't want to kick you out of the class now, but if you continue to do it, I will kick you out. But in a few years' time, you'll look back to this lesson and realise, like, I weren't getting spoken to. I'm not someone who's hard to listen either, because from young, my mum and my dad, they've always spoken to me. And when something really was being spoken to, I hear it. And like, I just felt like I wasn't getting spoken to properly. I was more getting kicked out and excluded. No point in it. I just got to this stage where I thought, this is just bullshit. Just everything that I do at school is bullshit. Started rolling splits and going to school. Smoking splits on my way to school. By the time I get to registration, I'm laughing at everybody. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know where life was going. You know what I mean? I was in school, I was just doing anything I want. I was just being like a total dick, like just being living every day by how it comes and just thinking, oh yeah, one day this school shit's gonna end and I'm gonna be able to go out and make £1 million anyway, because this school shit's just bullshit anyway. And like, when I left, I realised like, wow, everything I wanted to be, I didn't be it.
I lost an arm on my last trip home, Black Geographies. In the final moments of Octavia Butler's Kindred, the protagonist, Dana Franklin, returns from the past. Dismembered, bloody, screaming, Dana has violently come through a wall into the present, having endured repeated supernatural returns to Annabelle and Maryland. Octavia Butler's novel offers an interesting introduction to Black Geographies. Dana's predicament, as a contemporary subject forced into a time-space compression and a time-space reversal, allows her to confront and produce several landscapes. Geography, cartography, phenotype, body. I want to turn to the idea of the bodily archive. Body as archive, archive as body, since I feel it appropriate in reviewing McKittrick's text. In discussing location, ownership or lack thereof, placement and displacement, diasporic struggles, the body becomes the geographical landscape and the discursive site on which these points converge. Butler refers to something lost or barely visible, or seemingly not there to our supposedly well-trained eyes, while Edouard Glissant suggests that geography is produced in conjunction with, and often because of white European practices of domination, expose, quote, various kinds of madness. And Toni Morrison refers to racialized geographies as pathologies. I want to use the analogy of the Underground Railroad to draw a parallel with epigenetic inheritance, another invisible territory, as an untold, uncharted geography, for it implies the possibility of adverse experience and trauma echoing through generations by way of gene expression. And like the Underground Railroad, defy the lingering positivism that prevails in white cartographic and scientific practices. Whether or not we can say this is a real and meaningful geography will be incumbent upon how the field of epigenetic research will evolve. But it opens the possibility to imagine how these histories and traumas have affected our own social evolution and how they are integrated into life today. Dana has lost her arm as a result of unnatural time-space physics. Her painful supernatural returns to the Maryland plantation tore her apart. Her body is partly elsewhere, historically and geographically.
Thank you. Thank you, Seattle. Thank you, Seattle, for being one of the most progressive cities in the United States of America. hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon. On the princess, glorious casket. Everyday women and men become legends. As they go against our skin, become blessings. The living is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all, just ain't specific enough. One son died, the spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk in the Ferguson with our hands up. When it goes down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots be on the ground, the camera panned up. King over to the mountaintop, and we ran up. You are shouting it down.
I'm now joined by Darkest Howe, who is a writer and broadcaster, and we can speak to him now, and Marcus Dow is in Croydon. Marcus Dow, are you shocked by what you've seen there last night?
No, not at all. I have been living in London for 50 years. There are so many different moods and moments. But what I was certain about, listening to my grandson and my son, is that something very, very serious was going to take place in this country. Our political leaders had no idea. The police had no idea. But if you looked at young blacks and young whites with a discerning eye and a careful hearing, they have been telling us, and we would not listen, that what is happening in this country to them.
Mr. Howe, if I can just stop you, Mr. Howe, for a moment. You say you're not shocked. Does this mean that you condone what happened in your community last night?
I condone, of course not. What I'm going to condone it for. What I'm concerned about more than anything else, there is a young man called Mark Duggan. He has parents, he has brothers, he has sisters, and few yards away from where he lives, a police officer blew his head off.
Well, Mr. Howe, we have to.
Let me finish.
Mr. Howe, we have to wait for the official inquiry before we can say things like that. We don't know what happened to Mr. Duggan. We are going to wait for the police report on it. If I can take you on a little bit, you were talking about your grandson. You were talking about young people. You were talking about your grandson. You were talking about.
They have been stopping and searching young blacks for no reason at all. I have a grandson, he's an angel, and he began to think he was coming of age when the police slapped him up against the wall and searched him, and he thought he had now had a gold star. I asked him the other day, apropos of a sense that something was going seriously wrong in this country. I said, how many times have the police searched you? He said, Papa, I can't count. There's so many times.
Mr. Howe, that may well have happened, and if you say it did, I am not to gainsay you, but that is not an excuse to go out rioting and cause the sort of damage that we have been seeing over the last few days.
Where were you in 1981 in Brixton?
Mr.
They had I don't call it rioting, I call it an insurrection of the masses of the people. It is happening in Syria, it is happening in Clapham, it's happening in Liverpool, it's happening in Port of Spain, Trinidad, and that is the nature of the historical moment.
Mr. Howe, Mr. Howe, if I can just ask you, you are not a stranger to riots yourself, I understand, are you? You have taken part in them yourself.
I have never taken part in a single riot. I've been on demonstrations that ended up in a conflict, and have some respect for an old West Indian Negro and stop accusing me of being a rioter. Because you want to me to get abusive. You just sound idiotic. Have some respect.
Dr. Howe,
grandchildren.
Thank you very much for joining us for Friday. Dr. Howe, writer and broadcaster.
That's it.